There we go. It took the computer a minute to start recording, so right now this is your fractions test. Hopefully you paid attention to the video on Monday that said I was not sending a paper copy, that you would need to be able to print this copy. If not, I guess what you are going to have to do is you are going to have to set up a piece of paper. Your paper needs to have 4 boxes going across. You won't need to copy the entire problem, but you will need to copy all 4 answers, and you'll need to put your answer on the blanks, and then you will need to show me your work in the second box. So I will want your paper. If you are writing it off on paper, I will want you to have it set up exactly like this. Adding and subtracting, fractions and mixed numbers. Remember, all answers must be in simplest form. I am not going to explain what that is. If you reviewed yesterday, you should be just fine knowing that. Do make sure you show all the steps of every problem. Each step is its own point. So whatever you do, if you do something to change the fractions before you add or subtract them, show me that step. What are you doing to change them? If you do something to change the fraction after you've added or subtracted, show me the steps of what you are doing. There are points for each step, because that way I can see if you skipped a step or did one wrong. That will not take away the entire point for the answer. So the workspace is very important. They are a lot of story problems on this side, so be careful. Not all of them sound like fraction problems, although our lesson just yesterday was showing you how fractions are the same thing as division. So that might be helpful here. In number 1, show all of your work for it over here, and then the answer, letter A, B, C, or D, whichever one works, goes on this blank. Number 2, again, read it carefully. There is a lot of information here. I will tell you, this is a 2-step problem, and none of this is fractions. All of this is working with decimals. So this is not something I made. I retyped pages out of the math test book because I wanted to have your workspace right next to the problem, because the test book doesn't do that for you. All right, so this says for 3 and 4, you have to use this information. So on number 3, it's asking you how many teaspoons. Well, right here the chart says it's showing you teaspoons of nutmeg with cloves. So we need the nutmeg, we need the cloves. And this one is small enough. You can use the workspace right here for number 3. Number 4, you will need more workspace, so the workspace goes over here. And then you choose your final answer once you've done the work here about baking soda and cinnamon. And I will caution you, if it's in all capital letters, that is important. That should help you decide whether you're adding them or subtracting them. Your workspace goes over here. Number 5, again, if you did not let me know earlier that you could not print this out, what you're doing, don't copy the whole problem, but do copy A and the choice, B and the choice, C and the choice, D and the choice, and then up here in front of your number 5, write the letter that you are choosing. Do your work over here, given everything it tells you in this story problem. Again, I will tell you that is slightly important. Number 6, lots of information about Lucas taking trail A, how long that is, trail B, how long that is. Again, how many miles longer? So it's not how much did he do altogether. Your choices might give you a hint about whether you're adding or subtracting, although to end up with 15 miles, you're going to have to add them. But if you have these two numbers and you end up with 1.5, 1 3/4, and 1 for your choice, it's more likely you would need to subtract these. Your workspace, show me every step that you need to do in order to do this problem. Then there are more on the back. Again, if you did not, let me know that you couldn't print this out. And if you are having to write it over on paper, again, I still want these 4 boxes going across. I still want to know the number. It seems like the directions could be confusing. This one says, what is the value? Then it says solve, solve, solve. If you are solving a problem, that just means you are doing it. What is the value means exactly the same thing. If you have 6 1/8 and then you take away 2 3/8, what is the final value after you do that math? Okay? So don't get confused by the directions. You will notice these start out looking fairly complicated. You are subtracting and adding with mixed numbers. Then you get down here and they all of a sudden start looking simpler. If it was me, I would do these 2 first. I would maybe even do these 2 first of the entire test before I get to the more complicated ones. 5th graders in the United States are expected to be able to work with just fractions and to recognize that a fraction with a whole number still can be solved. You just have to follow all the same rules if you only had a fraction as you do when you have a whole number with it. Number 14 is a little bit trickier, so I would like you to use the workspace there, but then also the rest of the paper. So Jim is cutting 12 3/4 foot piece of wood. So his whole piece of wood is 12 3/4 of a foot. The question is, if he is making 4 shelves and each of them is 2 7/8 of a foot, is 12 3/4 enough? Well, if you know how much 1 shelf is, could you figure out how much 2 shelves and how much it would take to make 3 shelves? And then could you add on another shelf to find out your total for 4 shelves? Do not multiply this amount. We have not studied multiplying and you will do it wrong. So you would need to add this amount to itself 4 times and then see if it's less than 12 3/4. When you have this done, check it over. That is your assignment for today. It is a test, so please do not ask any adult for help. I look forward to seeing your photographs with your final answers, easy to see. Thank you very much.